What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. I'm Lenny, and today I'm telling you how I built rear doors for my cargo trailer. I am planning on living in this thing, and the doors that came on it were pretty terrible, so I decided I needed new doors. The doors are rotted, the trim was all messed up, they were leaking down the inside from the top, the hinges were pretty beat up, and they weren't insulated at all. So I decided to solve all those problems with new doors. Essentially what I did is I used two FRP panels, it's fiberglass reinforced plastic, and I epoxied those to an XPS foam board insulation panel. So it's insulation core with fiberglass reinforced plastic on either side, epoxied together, a little epoxy sandwich. Then I basically put the trim on, did some sealing, sealed it up, and bolted it on. All right, so this is the FRP panel. See, it's just pretty thin, pretty flimsy. FRP plastic 4x8. Now, I do need to apologize. I did not film the actual constructing of the composite panels. It was a two-part epoxy, and doing that, and I needed a friend to help me lay down and position the FRP panels and the insulation. And between figuring it out and doing it and coordinating everything, I just totally forgot to film it. So the way I stuck the doors together was with a two-part epoxy. Essentially, you mix the epoxy two parts together in a little container, and then you lay down one sheet of FRP, and then I just spread the epoxy in a nice thin layer all over the FRP, and then I laid down my insulation sheet, and then I spread more epoxy on that, and then I did the second piece of FRP on top of that. And then I put a bunch of weight on it so it was nice and solid, and left it to sit for a while to cure. And this is the composite panel curing underneath my water tank box and some car batteries that I used as weights. And then this is the final product. Pretty nice looking composite sandwich. Now the next step was to cut the panels down to size for the doors. These are sold, the insulation and the FRP are both sold as 4x8 panels. So I had to cut about 6 inches off of all four sides, and I wanted to use the nice middle piece for my doors. I just used a circular saw to cut these. Pretty straightforward. I definitely used a respirator and a mask and everything because cutting fiberglass, didn't want to breathe any of that in. Once my composite panels were cut down to size, the next step was to cut my vinyl down to size. I'm using this sheet vinyl as the interior because I thought it looked nice, and I didn't want just white plastic as my interior. This stuff cuts pretty easily with just a knife, so it's pretty easy to lay out and cut, and I just used a piece of plywood to make sure I wasn't rubbing my knife on the concrete floor. And then I also cut out a piece for the floor while I was at it, so I'm going to have matching door panels to my floor. So, what I'm up to here is gluing the vinyl sheet onto my FRP panel. This is a 3M max strength adhesive. Good enough. You're supposed to I just sprayed it on there. You're supposed to let it dry for a minute before putting it down. So that's not a problem there. It's a simple thing. So I'm just gonna lay that down. I just started with about a third of the surface on one end, And then once that was glued down, I peeled up the 2/3 on the other end and sprayed that and glued that down. And then I struggled to flip this thing over so I could get some weight on it for it to cure. Now, after the second panel is all glued down and set, I laid the 2 panels up on some nice tables and I started working on the trim. So the trim I bought for this it's called like H channel. It has a 1-inch interior width, so it's designed to fit around 1 inch of material. And then for the tops of the doors, I just used U channel with the same 1-inch inside width. That's why I used 3/4 inch plywood. The FRP is about 1/8 of an inch, so that's 1/4 of an inch between the 2 FRP panels plus 3/4 inch of insulation. So I went around and cut each of the pieces of trim down to size. Getting the 45-degree angles on the corners was a bit tricky, but I managed to get those to match up well enough. And then to get the trim on, I just folded the vinyl up around the edges. I had left about 1.5 inches on each side so that there was enough room to fold it around the edge, and just pressed the trim right on over top of the vinyl. Once I got a piece of trim on, I secured it just with a couple of small little screws. And this is what the finished product looked like. Some nice, beautiful doors. I think they came out looking pretty sweet. Especially in this before and after shot, with the old door on the left and the new door on the right. Wow, what a difference. Okay, check out these doors. Looking pretty good. We are doing ceiling, not like roof ceiling, but weather stripping. Putting this shit on there. It's just foam, rubbery foam stuff. Door seal. Sticks right on. We got some there. That's about that. So I mentioned in the beginning of the video that one of the issues I was having is water was dripping in through the top and running down the insides of the doors. So this is why I installed just the U channel on the top of the doors, because with the H channel on the outside, that basically scoops the water straight in, right? And so with the U channel on the top, what I also did was I installed this weather stripping, which has like, I think it has like 4 little fins that stick vertically down off the top, and that will basically stop water from running along the inside of the top of the door frame and getting into the trailer. Then of course, what good would it be having brand new doors if I didn't cut a massive hole in them immediately? So I'm putting a window in. Here is the little trim piece that I need that I'm making out of foam board insulation. And then I basically just used that trim piece as a template for the cutout, trying to position it nicely between my hinge and my door latch, and tracing a line with a Sharpie on the outside where I need to cut. So I didn't want to damage my vinyl too much with the jigsaw, so I kind of copied the line on the inside surface, and then I cut the vinyl with my knife and folded it back so it wouldn't get torn up with the jigsaw. Once I had another big hole in the door, I just had to get my insulation trim piece to fit nicely inside the vinyl on the backside, and then kind of sandwich everything together and assemble the window. And then here's the final product. Came out looking pretty sweet. That's a wrap on my rear doors. Please like and subscribe and share this with anyone you know, regardless of whether or not they may or may not be interested.